The second game of our second semifinal here. Another best of three. Snute is currently down one game. He lost on Star Station against Sage. And here we have him on screen in blue, facing his Protoss opponent, this time on Belgian Vestige. Starting to the top left, we have the Root Gaming player. This is, of course, Sage, and let's find out what he's going to do in game number 2. Game number 1, he started with a Gateway Expand, a very good build and very popular since Naniva introduced it to the European scene and has defeated so many players there. After that, Naniva not really successful in the WCS Europe. He actually lost a lot of his games. He also lost the last set of matches that he played against Tefel, was not too happy about that either. But at DreamHack, he just played an amazing tournament, was defeated by Lenok in the finals, defeated a lot of Zergs on the way to face Lenok, and Sage is getting the pile in the main base once again. What Snute tried to do was go for a massive amount of Lings and Banelings in map number 1 to counter his opponent's build, but it didn't really work out too well for him. So right now we are in a position where it's going to be interesting to observe if Snute is just trying to change his style a little bit, and if so, then how. We have him once again starting with a spawning pool here instead of going into the hatch first. Hatch first is very risky if you are facing a forge opening, but if you are up against an opponent that starts with the gateway, you can always add the hatch first. There is no problem whatsoever. So it's gonna be it's gonna be interesting to see what he does when he realizes that he's once again up against the gateway opening. This is just the risk you take when you don't go for a drone scout. With an early drone scout, you have the option of going into a hatch first instead of the pool, but you are of course losing a little bit of mining time here and also dedicating one of your drones to find out what's going on. But right now, as you can see, we have still the safer option with the hatch after the spawning pool. The Overlord moving in at this point, already seeing, well, there is no forward pylon, there is no expansion just yet, so he will realize that it is most likely once again a gateway opening by his opponent. And this worked so well for Sage in game 2. Snoot's third base was not done, but he had to cancel it. He had to cancel it while he was building it because we had just Sage moving in with too many units. There was no way for him to defend this. He tried, not for lack of trying, but well, let's find out what Snute is up to in game number 2. Once again, the gas. You always want to get gas when you see that your opponent is going into the gateway attack, or at least the gateway opening. Reason being that if there is an aggression or aggressive attack with... Can there be a not aggressive attack? I don't think so. So if there's an attack, you want to have speedlings, because the more stalker heavy your opponent plays, the better when you have a lot of zerglings that have the ability to surround them and take them out. Without that, it's going to be very difficult for you to hold this aggression. But right now, we have the Mothership Core out there. And the Mothership Core is a central element of going into a gateway expand, because you need the photon overcharge to defend if your opponent goes for all-out aggression and tries to take down your natural expansion, which was the case in Rings of Liberty, and we didn't have the Mothership Core back then, so this is the Forge Expand was just the result of players realizing that they can't hold a second base without having the cannons, without having the Forge and the wall, but now in Heart of the Swarm with the Mothership Core, things are a little bit different. Stargate in the main base, completely unscouted. This is the tech choice for Sage in game number 2. Snute has the extra queens now at the bottom right, and he's heading over at 5:30 to take his base once again. He sees at the front that there are not too many gateways, well actually there are 3 gateways being built again this time, so if Sage commits to this, he might actually be able to force another cancel here, but the problem really being that he does not know what's going on. He doesn't see the Stargate, he did not see the probe that is currently hovering over here and could put on the forward pylon, and will. So I'm a bit afraid that he might lose this third base once again. He has not a lot on the map. There are 8 Zerglings just now starting to scout the map, but let's see if they are able to find this pylon in time. He might actually not be able to get that done. 1 round of warp in, that's all that it takes to save the pylon. And he sees the Lings. The Lings are streaming in and he sees it. And the Lings don't see the pylon. So he can once again just warp in. Warp gates are getting ready. We have also a few Phoenixes taking down Overlords. And do we see the warp in? Lings are everywhere. And actually, that's something that Snute sees. This is a lot of Lings. This is a lot of Zerglings, and here even a little bit prematurely using the Nexus, the Photon Overcharger. I actually don't think that was a smart move. Sage is doing this way too early. He could have taken down those few Zerglings with units, no problem whatsoever, and waited a little bit longer. But Snute is not going to punish him for him just yet. The pylon is there, and we have the first 2 Zealots being warped in. A few more will follow very soon. But now we also have, with the Phoenix is still harassing, we have the first Spore Crawlers being built. Here come the Zerglings, they see what's going on, but against the Zealots they have no chance of pulling this off. But the more important part is that Snute at least knows what's going on right now. So he can prepare, he can make sure that he gets the Roaches out. This time he did not skip the Roach Warren, and this is a much safer play that Snute is currently executing. And also we have once again a supply block for Sage. He was already supply blocked a second ago, then a pylon finished, but he is still supply blocked, and that's so annoying because he cannot continue this aggression. He has the Phoenixes taking down a couple of Queens, and the Zealots are working at the expansion. But now with those Roaches moving in, there's not a lot that he can do. He can kill a couple of those Harvesters, and the Queens especially, or the Phoenixes are picking off a few of the Roaches. What's really annoying on the other hand for him is that with 4 he just barely is able to take out one of the Roaches. Let's see, Harvesters killed, 4 in total, resources lost, much more for Snute here. But still a position where the Zerg has the 3rd base secured. The 3rd is alive. He did not lose it this time. And having this 3rd is really the most crucial part. Once again, with another pylon, another round of warp-ins hits home. But once more, the supply block for Sage. Sage really struggling a little bit with his macro here. He's supply blocked the entire time. That's so annoying for them. This is like the 3rd time that he's supply blocked, and it could be worse. I mean, this is one of the situations where you want to apply pressure to the 3rd base, you want to take it down. Then you are supply blocked over and over again, and you can't do anything because your opponent has more units. Now Sage is once again about to be supply blocked. Dude, build more pylons. There it is. He's losing the pylon to the left side. It's something that he knew already would happen, and he's supply blocked again. Horrible macro by him in this game. I mean, at least he added the double forge. He realized that his aggression would not work because he was supply blocked several times. So he added the double forge. He can go into the double upgrades right now. And we have him with an attempted 3rd base. Also keep in mind that it's already 3 AM in Korea. So both players a little bit tired here as well. It's quite late. Another round of warp-ins here. This time sentries to make sure that the force fields are going to be good. Trying to trap a few units. Rudy the Roach is trying to take down the wall on his own, but that is not happening with this many Phoenixes around. But for Sage, this is a very different game compared to map number 1. On map number 1, he was in a very good spot and he took the game fairly early. He took a really good lead, but now he's falling behind. He's falling behind fast. We have a nice tech, a really fast tech into Hive at the 11-minute mark already. And Snute has a 20 supply lead. He has 3 bases, he's taking a 4th now. He's controlling huge parts of the map already with his creep. Could be better, but he's working at it. Doing a decent job in a PvC. Still struggling a little bit with those Phoenixes. That's something that he did not really get a hold on just yet. How many did he lose in total? 10 Harvesters. Could be worse, but still. And Sage, he is now moving into Colossi. He's moving into Void Rays from 1 Stargate +1/+1, still being chrono boosted. Here we have now the Phoenixes soon to be dealing with Hydralisks. Hydra Den is on the production tab. And currently looking here at the forges, we're going to see +2/+2. Did we see the Twilight Council already? I don't think he built it. Let me double check. No Twilight Council, so he cannot go into the added upgrades. He will have to stick it out with 1/1 for now. Another oversight by him. Another huge oversight by Sage. He can't be too happy about this. This is not him trying to hit a timing on 1. And again, supply blocked and heavily supply blocked. Now building the Twilight Council. And this aggression might take down the 4th, but I feel even if he takes down the 4th, that is all that he's going to do with it. Would still be an accomplishment. I mean, 3 base against 3 base. It's not being too bad. Yeah. Snute is not even trying. Snute is not even trying. He's building his Vipers and his Hydras now. But with Blinding Cloud abduct and everything that he has, he should be able to do a lot of damage to the Protoss army. The drone is already being here, probably gonna drop that hatch fairly soon once again. Army supply by now is in favor of Snute, and now he has the Vipers out. He also has the range upgrade for his Hydralisks. And we have the speed upgrade not done just yet, as you can see, but +2/+2 not being researched for neither one of them. But there's a difference. Sage not trying to hit a 1-1 timing, whereas Snute is. And Snute is also going into the +2/+2 behind this. So he's doing both. He's going out with Vipers with +1/+1, trying to do damage with a massive army, but he's also preparing for a composition behind this. Ah, there is the abduct, double adopt, one against the Void Ray, the other one against the Colossi. Sage is in trouble here. Another flank is moving in, and bye-bye Void Rays. He doesn't have the critical Void Ray mount just yet, and with the prismatic alignment, the air unit can do a lot of damage against the roaches, but the Hydralisks are just overwhelming. Sage is being taken out here quite easily in game number 2. Snute is forcing a third game in this best of 3 series.